All right. Hi, everybody. Today we are welcoming a very beautiful guest that I absolutely adore. Her name is Michele Vennard, and she is the owner and operator of Bikram Yoga San Jose. And I invited her on our show today because we talked about the topic of mental health. And Michele was just saying how mental health with Bikram Yoga is a topic that could be really interesting for many people. And so therefore, here we are today. We're going to talk a little bit about mental health because I think mental health is something that's very like hush hush.
Yeah.
Not too many people like to talk about it or even say that they are struggling with it. So it's almost like a taboo. We don't talk about it in our society.
Right.
And so today I thought, with International Day of Yoga coming up soon, I thought, we would shed some light on how yoga can help us. And in particular, because we both practice and teach, of course, Bikram Yoga, we wanted to bring to the forefront how that can help people if there are people struggling out there. Yeah. So without any further ado, I'm going to allow Michele to introduce herself a little bit to our listeners. And we are so very grateful that you took the time out to spend with us today. So thank you so much.
Oh, I'm incredible, Deborah. I enjoy you. I admire you. I respect you. You have an earnest desire to want to do good things in the world. And I feel that and appreciate that. And we need more, humans like you. And it's an honor to participate in this with you. And
Thank
I was
you.
even before this, I was praying and just asking that, this conversation, if it can help just one person, just shed some light. Because
I get goosebumps when you say that, because that's the only reason I do this. In everything that I do is if only just one person gets help, I'm happy. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And you know what? That's humbling of you. And also really each of us, right, is here on earth for our own individual, let's forget the word reason, but contribution. I mean, we all have something to contribute. So I'm lucky. I feel like I found my niche in yoga, and I guess a way to kick this off might be, because I agree with you. I think that mental health has become a term that not only do people kind of shy away from, but also too, because it's used a lot in ways, it's become more vague. Like, what does that really mean? And, just to introduce myself, the whole reason why I got into yoga is because of grieving, which is, a mental
stress. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Like
the loss of someone created that grief, which can create some mental instability for us, of course.
And, it does because, and you don't understand it either, because my mom passed away at a young age at 54. And honestly, that's how I found yoga, as someone had told me, because I dived right into work. I think that's what we do when we don't want to feel, right? When we don't want to experience something, we dive into whatever it is, whether it's alcohol, or work, right? There's still kind of both a numbing effect, right? To really kind of stop you from seeing what's there. And the yoga was an outlet for me. I remember kind of being okay with, and I want to get into this in a little more detail, but just to give you my experience, I remember being able to lay down or sweat through, or it doesn't come from here, but just my ability to honor that I was confused, that I felt abandoned. My mom left me. I felt guilty that I didn't do enough. All of those, because feelings are irrational. Right.
Yes.
But I was able to process them. And I felt, instead of feeling more of those, I felt a connection to myself.
To yourself. Yes.
Right. As opposed to,
I understand that.
Push it away. Right.
Yes.
It was a welcoming to honor something that, I didn't really need to fix. I just needed to hold. Right.
Yes. I recently discovered that too in my own personal practice, about how this yoga allows us to go beyond the logical mind, because 99% of our problems reside in the logic mind. And the logical mind is always trying to fix it for us. So that's why when somebody dies, and especially unexpectedly, the logical mind doesn't know what to do. So the healing can really come when you go beyond. And I find that with my own practice, I found that I have been able to go to that level for many things in my life that the logical mind couldn't solve, because there are some things it just cannot solve. It's not equipped. And so when you practice this yoga, you're going beyond this logical mind, because you're not in your normal thinking mind when you're in a Bikram yoga class. You have to lock your knee. You have to listen to the instructions. It's a fast pace. It's like you can't sit there and think about all my problems in my life. And so actually you're interrupting that. And through the interruption of that is where the true connection comes to yourself, because I keep saying this to everybody. Everybody has this innate wisdom of what to do, when to do it in their life. All this stuff is already inbuilt in us, but we can't hear it for the noise. The noise that the logical mind is, because that's what the mind does. It creates thoughts 24/7. Its job is to create thoughts. So these thoughts, unfortunately, we put so much we just believe it so much intensely that it drives us mad in a way.
Right.
And if you get a practice like Bikram yoga, for example, where you can actually go beyond this logical mind and you get this deep relaxation. I remember it when I used to go to Bikram yoga class like 10, 15 years ago. I used to think it's madness. I'm going there to relax, but it's like a torture chamber.
Right. Which is another reason why you and I said that we should do this, because I think logically, if you don't have a practice, you're looking at the two of us or this practice going, you're crazy, right? It's, when you go to this class, it's somebody shouting at you, right? But really, as you know, too, and those of you that don't have a practice, or just reminding you, those that do have a practice, it's all intentional. It's meant for you. I love how you said that gets you out of the logical mind. Another way to look at it too, is I feel like it dismantles that stronghold that, we don't realize we're being controlled by these thoughts and by
the logic.
Yeah. Yes. By concentrating on the task at hand, we're starting to loosen, right? The chains around it and give it some space. Right. So that's why we kind of walk out of the class, right? Maybe there's an issue that was on our mind and it's still there, but it has a little bit more room to breathe. And you don't have such a vested interest in reacting to some sort of solution, right? Yes. It helps the mind kind of just quell enough, right? That you can come out with like a breath. Right. Yes. And to be able to lean back and go, oh, okay, there's the situation. And that's why we feel so good. We kind of have a macro view again, as opposed to falling in this consuming micro view. Right. Yeah.
Just the little mind. That's what our little mind does. It creates the illusion of separation. You feel so alone. You feel like you're the only one struggling with that. And it's telling you all these lies. And like Bikram also actually said, he said, until you can make your mind your best friend, come to the room, because that's where you're going to learn, because your mind is your worst enemy. And I think maybe some people know that, but maybe not everybody knows that. And it's good to kind of just get a first introduction of perhaps how your mind is making it up is not the truth.
Yeah.
It's not the truth, because one person's truth is not another person's truth. And so is it really true is what you have to ask yourself. And 99% of the time, it's not true. It's your perception of it. And your perception is always muddled because of your past, your previous experiences, your traumas that you carry, because we're all carrying that with us, aren't we? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And adding to that too, right, is I feel like when you first come in the yoga room and you look at those mirrors, right, as you know, those are so hard for people to see. And over time, though, as you come in and do the same thing over and over again, even if it's negative, that person in the mirror becomes more familiar, right? Even that brings a sense of comfort, right? And then the familiarity starts to breed a little bit of, dare I say, kind of love. You may not like it, but there's a sense of love. And when you start to have that familiarity and you're with people and doing the same thing and you're dismantling that sense of love, you're able to sort of, just what you're saying, notice behaviors that you have.
Because you're creating a distance from it.
Yeah. And
that's the best thing.
And you kind of then you can sort of lovingly ask, like, why is that behavior part of your life? And you start to recognize, like you're saying, these filters, right? These you've been
your
brought
perception
up with, right? And then you detach enough to go, well, wait a minute, maybe that filter you start to shift it, right? But it all has to start, Deborah, and I know you know this, and just to your audience too, gosh, it really has to start with the use of your body. You have to use your body. Because
your body is your way out.
It is.
Your body is your way out.
I wish I could say it's a lecture. It's you and your body. And
your body is your way out.
Yeah.
Your body is your way to salvation. It really is.
It is. Yeah. And I think that's the most unique thing, that when people hear this, you're right, they want to solve it. That's what insanity is using the same thing over and over again to get a different result. No, not. You use your body as a medium, right? To reach.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's why Bikram Yoga is, and I see it. I mean, you too. I've been teaching 20 years. I've had the studio almost, I've been taking 24 years. I've taught almost 21, and we're almost on our 20-year anniversary. So literally, right, how many thousands of people that have BYs.
Just amazing.
Right. So it's not a small sample size. And so you see it on the podium. You can tell where, people have a vested interest to want to keep a pattern going. And I get it. I've done it. You've done it, right?
We all do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, but what's going to make it, safe enough, where you trust enough, where you're like, I see people who start yoga that are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that's great,
Yes.
Right?
Well, I think when you ask that question to me, I would say to you that community. So what you've created with the Bikram Yoga San Jose, you created a community. And I don't think that you will ever know the extent of what that means to people.
Yeah.
We really can't even comprehend what that means to people, to have a community, to come where you're accepted, come as you are, do what you can today, just show up on the mat. Like that means a lot to people with no judgment. Like, just whatever you can do today. Every day you do a little bit, you're going to get stronger, you're going to get better. And I do believe that community is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
And that really helps. So listeners, if you're out there and you're feeling alone or you don't know where to start, find a little studio close to where you are, build a community, and you're going to see it's going to help you a lot. Because I remember also here when I first started Bikram Yoga, and I just moved to a new country, like new people, everything was different. And when I always knew that, okay, I'm going to go do my yoga, and it helped me to create community. It helped me to get into the community and to understand, how it works, because you have to learn how it works. And it really helped me a lot to have a community.
Right. Yeah. That's a really good point, because, we talked about like using the body as a medium, and during the pandemic, right, everything was stripped away, right? You didn't.
Correct. That was hard.
And even though we found a way to do it online, I found that when we got back into the studio, even when it was small number of people and masks on, just the ability to be together was already a shot of good health, right?
Yes.
Like you just felt, and the yoga too, just like what you're saying, I don't necessarily think I take it for granted, but because I've been doing it for so long, I hear what you're saying. The yoga community is kind of one of those where even when you walk in, we're talking about mental health, you sort of feel less judgment. You feel, because life, the pressure that's on 2022,
people.
You in your area, and of course the Silicon Valley, where it's just emphasized to just be productive all the time.
Yes.
And to come in and just kind of like that layer removed already invites an ease, right? And I saw that in people when they came back even when we were in the pandemic, still this
Yes.
little bit of worry didn't enter, that worry stayed outside the yoga doors, right?
Yes. Yes. It's like a sanctuary when you walk in. My body has kind of like a switch. Yeah. Whenever I walk into the hot room, it's just like done. Yeah, totally. Leave everything behind and just be here with your breath and your body. And to me, like, even if I even go in to teach, my body just feels happy.
Right.
It's because it kind of knows it's going to get something. There's going to be a bit of sweating. There's going to be a bit of releasing, and talking on mental health. I honestly, that's just my personal life. I can honestly say that having had this Bikram yoga as my practice has helped me to stay mentally healthy for 20 years plus. It's just one of the most incredible things. Like I've seen, even through the pandemic where many things fell apart, many people fell apart. Right. And, you just keep steady because when you have your practice, you just have that thing that you can anchor yourself onto. Yeah. So I really highly recommend it. If you're struggling out there with any kind of stress, like Michele said earlier on, it can be the loss of a loved one. It can be the loss of a job, whatever it is that's creating a mental stress for you. One of the best things you can do is to get a practice. Just get a practice and do it a couple of weeks to begin with and see how it's going to help you.
Right. And just getting in the room and stretching a little bit and having instructions already being taken care of where you just do your best to follow along. And then, of course, the heat and the humidity allowing you to detox, not just physically, but just that there's something that happens to that mental part of you too that is just right where it just releases and just, allows for a little bit more ease. And like you said, it's hard to explain logic.
It is. It's hard to explain to the logic mind, but here's the thing. What I found that after all these years, I can actually simplify this very much to people. Whatever it is that you're struggling with, it doesn't matter what it is. You created things in your head about it. They could be trauma, they could be past events, whatever it is. But what happens to us is as human beings, we're replaying that stuff over and over and over in our heads. Okay, we're creating it over and over and over. When you learn how to just let that go. When you learn through this 90-minute class how to just release all that, then you get better at releasing it every day in your life, because the yoga room is just like a test, how to prepare you to how you can do it outside of the room. And I can tell you something, that if you just understand that your mind is making this all up, and then if you can just let go and enjoy each moment as it is, instead of comparing it to the next moment or to that moment where you are happier or to whatever other moment, because that's one of our worst things as human beings is we compare everything. We compare ourselves to other people. We compare ourselves to the past. And so there's all this comparison going on in our head, and we never really truly live our life and truly enjoy our life because it's being stolen by this logical mind that keeps trying to fix everything. And really, there's nothing to fix because the mind made it up to begin with. Right. So it's so simple. If you find a tool that's going to help you to get beyond that, you're home free. You get out.
I know. And, I was just talking to my friend next to me today, and we were both saying, oh, my God, aren't we so glad that we're here today? Oh. And I looked at her and I said, oh, my God. I mean, I knew this morning just the way that my mind was waking up, I needed a reset. You need the yoga. Puts your feet on the ground, just like you said, it kind of reorganizes, revitalizes, not just the body, gives you that crystal clear mind, right? And it's, again, using the body. And one thing I want to highlight, though, that you said is, all of us, what's normal is, and Bikram would say this, right? Your negative thoughts are 9 times more powerful than your positive ones.
Correct,
so to recognize, like I felt it, especially living alone during the pandemic, times when my mind was going in a rabbit hole. And I have been taking yoga for so long. And so I was able to see it and go, whoa, my gosh, if you're not going to catch this. And then what happens is, you go down a little further, and then there's more layers and then tangents. And then before you know it, you're even deeper, right? And how do you kind of come back out of that? And there's not many things out there that can truly kind of just help you in the, a short period of time, right? To kind of get you back feeling like connected to that true loving essence of who you are. Bogged down into like what you're saying, your mind is constantly going, that monkey mind all the time, right? And so I guess to the audience too, don't think that that's not normal. Right?
Oh, it's everybody is going through it, but there's a way out is what we're saying. There definitely is a way out. And I think what happens to us as human beings is we try a yoga practice, for example, and then we don't get the results that we want in 2 or 3 classes, and then we want to quit. But here's the thing. If you stick with it, because that's another thing your mind is making up. There's an expectation that your mind is saying it has to be like this. Or again, you're comparing it to the other person's experience, right? But if you just, I guarantee it to you, if you just keep doing it over time, you're going to see a huge difference in your life.
Yeah.
Like it literally is going to be night and day in how, for me personally, in my own life, it was like when I was younger in my 20s, I was all over the show and I felt like I was drowning in my life. And I tell you, when I understood, okay, if I take my yoga practice, my meditation practice, and I just do it daily, I'm going to give it a try. And when 10 years later, I was looked back and I was like, oh my God, I'm a completely different human being.
Yeah.
What changed? There was a discipline, because the mind is, like you said, it's a monkey mind, and you need a discipline so that you can catch it. So you can see it. And that's why in the East, they talk about like, don't try one practice and give it up and try another practice, give it up. Like stick with one thing, because if you don't stick with one thing, you'll never see what your mind is doing, because the mind is looking to hop around and jump around. And I'm not happy with this and I'm not happy with that. And that's why I love Bikram yoga a lot, because there's no way out. You can't, there's no way. No, it's this way or the highway.
Right. Exactly. Oh my God, you're making me laugh. Yeah. And Bikram would say too, right? Jack of all trades, master of none. Right?
Yeah.
If we jump around,
you keep changing. It doesn't take. It's the same with relationships or with anything in your life. You keep changing them. You're not going to learn anything, because the hardest thing is to catch yourself out. Because your mind is taking you to all these things. But if you stick with these things that are uncomfortable, that are not so good, that are not working out, like if there's a bump in the relationship, work it out, stick it out. What can I learn? What can I learn about myself? But we give up so fast. So I would say to the listeners out there, if you're going to go ahead and try this, don't give up. Just keep going. Keep going, even when it gets tough. You can do less, but be consistent.
There you go. Right. That's the key. That's why the intro, right, we just try to get you to do it as much as you can to kind of move through, right, those initial first few times where, it can be intense. But, you hit the nail on the head too. I think for everybody, including myself, right, if we're not careful, and I did it too, right, we jump from one thing to the other, and all we're doing is hitting kind of surface. When I think as a human being, we're not built to just survive. We're intended to thrive. And I think sometimes the moment that we get into an area that stings, we want to run. We get defensive in a relationship, or we totally believe in our hearts that this yoga isn't intended for me. I need to do something else, right? Rather than just what you're saying. It's so ironic how however the universe or the Lord, how you want to put it.
God, whatever you believe in, everybody's different.
But self-discipline is the key to freedom. It just,
I've been saying that for the last 20 plus years in all my workshops. 100% responsibility creates 100% freedom. And you know what, Michele? It took me many, many, many years to understand that fully. Understand that fully. But when you get that in your life, when you live that in your life, you're out of the game.
You're free. And you listen to, like, a friend of mine was just on this Think and Grow Rich kind of Zoom retreat thing. You hear Tony Robbins and you hear different disciplines, not just yoga, anything out there. Your mind, like if you keep that soil with certainty, right? That's why the yoga it helps to keep you believing in you. Right. So, Bikram talks about it being that we come in negative 10,000. And you're right. You do come in and there's vulnerabilities, right? There's, investments that you made in your life. There's like, your not feeling strong enough, or things you don't want to look, but you get to a point, right, where if you stay consistent, right, it's not where you become average or mediocre. Then you start to create sort of with more discipline, the sense of certainty, and then you become more fierce, right? And then your mind starts to become the best friend. Right? Correct. You have to make the choice. And I know I see that in people that I know you see it too, Deborah, where you see people trying and then they give up too soon. Right. What's that saying? I said it not long ago, where Bikram would say, if you stay doing the same 95%, you'll stay in the same small mistakes because you're not willing to invest in the last 5. Yeah. Right. Like, and just like you said too, if you can use the posture to take yourself first, make sure you're safe, do the information, follow through, and then take yourself a challenge, right? Where you're in that, discomfort, that's going to translate into like, okay. Cause now for me, and I only recently too, if there's a situation, and trust me,
we all have them.
Yeah. Right. But I feel like I can stand in it and not change it. This way, and be okay and standing in it, knowing that if I absorb all of the perspectives and emotions and in the things that come around it, I'm able to make a better decision that serves not just me, but
everybody else involved.
Everybody else, right? But that only comes from just what you're saying, the consistency, the practice, and quite honestly, the if you want to call, you didn't work that day. Okay. You get up, you dust yourself off, and,
try it again the next day. Again, exactly. Right? Well, I think in what I've perceived over all the years and all the thousands of students and classes that I've been privileged enough to also teach, is that I see that a lot of times people are just afraid.
Yeah.
There's so much fear. I'm not good enough. There's so much fear. I'm going to fall out. I'm not going to get through the class. There's just so much fear. And I'm like, well, there's nothing to lose.
Right.
There's just absolutely nothing to lose. Right. So you come and you fall out, you try again. Right. But I've said it already on one of the shows before. The problem with us is that we attach our self-worth to the outcome of things.
We do.
Oh, it's the biggest mistake we will ever make. You cannot put your self-worth. Nothing is good enough for your self-worth. Right. So when people come into the room, I see them especially now. The posture standing here to knee pose, that's our thing in Bikram Yoga. Like everybody wants to do this posture. It personally took me 4 years.
Yeah, right.
I was into that posture. Like, think about it, people. 4 years, 5 times a week.
Yeah, exactly. That's self-discipline right there, right?
But now I got it. I got it for life. It's just every day the body's a little different here and there, but I have that inside where I can do that posture. But it took so many years. But unfortunately, we think, I'm not good enough, or my self-worth is attached to it if I fall out. And it's like, that's the biggest mistake. If you're listening out there, please don't make that mistake. No. You are worthy. You are worthy just as you are. You are worthy because you are here. Yeah. You are worthy to be here.
Right.
Your self-worth is not attached to a posture.
It is.
Your self-worth is not attached to a yoga class. Your self-worth is not attached to how much money you make. Your self-worth is not attached to who you're married to. You are worthy.
Yeah.
You are worthy as you are. So if you're struggling today and there's some mental issues going on, there's some mental stress going on, just know that you are worthy as you are.
Yeah.
And help will come if you ask and you look for it. Just ask for some help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get into a little studio where there's a community. If it can be Bikram Yoga, try something else. Try something.
Yeah. I had heard too from Gary V. I just love that guy if you listen to him. Anyway, our chances of being born in the first place are 1 out of 433 trillion. So what is
my God? Can you imagine the gift of you?
We're already special. 1 out of
the gift of you.
33. We already come with the spine, with the brain, with the ability to breathe. We're already special, right? And
special.
I know.
So special.
Yeah. And and to add to that too is the other thing that can get people out of the depths of not feeling good is, and Emmy says this all the time, right? Is movement, which is really what the 90 minutes is doing. Every single cell we touch upon in 90 minutes. And even Bikram would say, if you don't think about it, if you're not feeling good in your body, then nothing is going to you've got to feel good in your body. Right.
And most people don't know how good their bodies are designed to feel because they get so used to not feeling good and taking all the medication, and they're just on this little roll, right?
Yeah.
So they don't know how good they can feel.
Right. Just a little bit of work on your lungs, a little bit of traction, bending your spine, a little bit of work on your muscular body, just the sweat, just even your first day, you're going to go, whoa,
yeah, I know
so much better, right? And then it just builds from there. As hard and as intense it might be, you'll start to feel better with your body. And then all of a sudden, again, the mind, right, starts to loosen.
Ease up as well, because you're not in that thought pattern anymore. And it's funny that you said about, it could be hard and stuff like that in the room. But I found that the longer I've been practicing Bikram yoga, the better it got. Because the hardness came literally from using the muscles that you're not supposed to be using because you're overdoing everything.
Right.
And the biggest thing I'm going to say is the inability to know how to relax.
Yeah.
We don't know how to relax. If you totally relax in every 20 seconds in Bikram yoga, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
It took me years and years and years and years to learn actually, truly how to relax in Savasana. Just give it up.
Right.
Just give it up.
Right. Or how about just even feeling myself too with that, just not feeling that there's value in it.
Oh, so much value.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or like, I could be doing something else instead of this. What is this? It's a waste of time, right?
Exactly. Not having that, and you think you have that, you're honoring the value in it. But when you truly start to understand what relaxation is doing, you realize,
it's so good. That 20 seconds is so good.
Yeah.
And I think for me personally, I can honestly say that after my mother and my father, Bikram yoga is one of my greatest blessings in my life.
Wow.
110%.
Yeah.
110%. Taught me so much about myself. It taught me how to let go of who I'm not.
Who you're not. Exactly. And it's
such
who I'm not process, right?
And then what was left is just me. And that I, like you said early on, when we started to look in the mirrors, we were so judgmental. And then after years and years and years, you start to love yourself, truly love yourself. Right. And when you love yourself, and I've seen it, the more you love and accept yourself, the more loving and accepting you are of others. 100%. And your life becomes this beautiful dance.
Right. Because then you realize too, my gosh, I am this unique flower in the world.
Oh,
I have
beautiful.
A set of personality things about me. I like to have my nails done. It's fun.
Yeah. There are things that I like to do, and they're great for me.
And you love what everybody else is, right?
Yes.
The differences.
And you see the variety.
Yeah,
you love the variety instead of in your brain when you were younger, at least me, people should be like you, or people should think like you, and you're only hanging out with people like you. And it's how boring.
Yeah. Or you're comparing, right? You said, you're making yourself less than when you're comparing rather than owning the uniqueness that your DNA produced, right? You're right, which is fascinating.
Celebrating yourself, man. Every day.
Every day. So you're getting on that point too, where it's the whole point isn't to get yourself out of darkness. The whole point is to illuminate the light, the divine, the wonderful light, and the ability to contribute and walk on this earth with a sense of joy and a song in your heart every single day, right?
Well, once you have a practice that can take you beyond your mind, then you understand that all the pain and suffering was made up, and you can leave it.
Yeah.
So the pain and the suffering that you had to go through was there to help you to wake up. Once you wake up, you don't need it anymore.
Right.
So that's what I always encourage people. Do something that's going to help you to get you to understand that you are not your thoughts. You're not your mind. You're not your feelings. You're not your emotions. You are the being that's having an experience of them.
Yeah.
So they don't need to control you. So when you take the distance from them, and it's hard for the logical mind because it doesn't want to take the distance because it believes so much that this is the truth, what it believes. But as you do more and more of this yoga discipline or meditation discipline, you start to realize, oh, I am not my thoughts. Oh, I am the consciousness, the awareness that's observing it.
Right.
So that means now I have a choice. I don't have to act on it.
Right.
And I guarantee it to you, if you do nothing else in your life, just being the observer of that is going to change it.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it. Like people say, oh, they're struggling with this. Maybe they're addicted to alcohol or drugs. You don't even need to have a technique to get out of that. You just need to know that you are not your mind. You are not your thoughts. Yeah. You start to observe that. And through that, you're going to become free through the observation.
Right. And then I think one of the things that I was nervous about, hearing sometimes those words would be like, well, what does that mean? Am I going to be less productive in who I am? Right. And,
so why was that productive? Why was that an issue for you? Did that come, where did you see that in your family, in your society?
Yeah, sure. Oh yeah. I grew up with, you gotta
be productive.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, that
was your story. That was your backstory. That was running your life.
Yeah. I think I've always kind of had this sort of hardwired, right, that I'm not enough, and kind of chasing things and being more productive meant that you had self-worth. And my point is, though, to just add, is that the more that you release that pressure in this way, the more productive you will be in a different way.
Oh my God.
So that was a big
110%.
Yeah. But I guess I just want to finish this one thought. It's what shifted, and it was a real paradox, was not that I had a competitive nature, but the more that I awakened to who I was and the ability to contribute and feel a sense of love and wanting to serve, the better I created. And the creation, right, is what's the productivity. And that's coming from a place of where the mind and the body, right, your heart, your passion, everything come together, right? Because you are keeping yourself very egocentric.
Yes.
And, you're moving from a place of like, having to be productive. Whereas
I have to achieve something.
Yes. Whereas, going back to your thoughts, Deborah, about like just releasing, letting go, learning to relax, not letting the mind dictate, you're going to find that you're going to be able to use the mind to create as opposed to using you, right? And you're more, and you feel more authentic in your productivity. Right?
Yes.
Like,
I can tell you 110% that's the truth. Because I remember all those years ago when I first started Bikram Yoga, I used to think, well, it's 1.5 hours to be in the room. It's half an hour to get there and get ready, half an hour to get back. It's like a huge chunk of time. And, a lot of people never did Bikram Yoga because of that. But I can tell you 110% that I was more productive in my life when I did Bikram Yoga than when I didn't. 100. And even thousands of classes between practicing and teaching. Probably when I first came from teacher training, I was teaching 10 to 12 classes a week. Think about that, 90 minutes per class, plus practicing 5 times a week and having a family, doing all the things, I did it.
Had the energy, had the vitality.
The energy,
was
happy.
Presence, right? Yeah.
Was happy. So it's a complete myth that you don't have the time. If you make the time to come and do Bikram Yoga, you're going to, like Michele just said now, you're going to have more creativity. You're going to achieve more. You're going to be everything is just going to be better for you because you're better. Yeah. Because the stress is the biggest killer. The stress kills our creativity. It kills us. Yeah. Creates, disease in our life. Right. So if you need something that's going to help you to combat that. On a physical, mental, and emotional level. And I don't know of anything better than Bikram Yoga that can help you to do that. So if you're struggling today with a mental issue, if you're struggling, just feeling overwhelmed with your life, don't know where to begin, do yourself a favor. If you can find a Bikram studio close to where you live, you're going to be lucky in your life. If you can't find a Bikram yoga studio, just find a studio and start something. If you can't find anything, I have a daily meditation group page on Facebook. Join it. And just every day, if you can meditate, you're going to see a huge difference in your life already. So there is hope. There is a lot of, I think if you really, really, truly want to change your life and you want to create, you want to have more ease, you want to have more creativity in your life, you want to be disease-free, you have to start something. Yeah. It's not going to happen. Yeah. It's going to fall in your lap. Yeah. You have to actually do something.
Yeah, you do. And, and I love that you're plugging that also too. I'm just going to share with everybody, BYSJ, every single one of our classes is online.
Yay. So, and we're going to put all your information in the bottom here of this podcast so people can reach out to you. I mean, personally, I have to tell you I love Michele and just what she's created there and her daily. I think for a while there you had even a little Facebook where you were sharing some insights and some books that you were reading. And I loved all that. And just your newsletter and just even I saw that it was Sarah now from your studio was talking a little bit about how your spine is like a battery and how just showing people it's for free. You can just log on and check it out. Right. So I always admire so much what you guys are doing. And I know in my life to be of service is one of the most wonderful things. I think people who serve others are happy, successful. Yeah. And so, if you're struggling out there, look and see what you can do something for someone else. You're going to see a difference in your life. You have to become more service orientated, especially if you're feeling like you're depressed, or go and do something with someone.
Yeah, that'll
makes a huge difference.
We help too.
So I really love and appreciate so much what you guys are doing. 110%.
Thanks. And I will do it. I hope, my deal now.
You're going to do it until you're not here anymore.
But I want it now is got to go beyond me. I'm really, that's my bigger focus is, because it's something that is beyond, it helps.
It's beyond all of us.
It will help humankind
for years to come.
Years and years. And I hope one day, 100 years from now, Deborah, this maybe gets out there or whatever, but it's innate. Everybody knows that they have a practice. It's become even more, right?
And we are sharing it from our hearts.
Yeah.
That's what I say. That's all we can do. It's you can just share what has worked for you. And the proof is always in the pudding, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
But one thing I want to share though to your listeners is I find it fascinating that the UN, that it's been sanctioned to have an International Day of Yoga.
Yeah.
We're only 8 years in, so again, talking about a time capsule here. 100 years from now, when this is a day obviously so important to be recognized on June 21st every year. So listeners, it's free to many yoga studios, ours in particular, hopefully many others too. It is a day, and because if you read what the United Nations has said about yoga, it is probably the biggest thing that can maintain and build great health physically, but mentally.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. We need that now so much.
Yeah, we do. And
after coming out of this pandemic, people's mental health has all been everywhere.
Confusion, depression, lack of sleep, a struggle with the job, feeling stuck, overeating, undereating, whatever it is, the yoga, just even if you're having a hard time believing it, just try. You've been given a day, right? You've been given a day where the globe is saying, here's something.
Try it.
Something, right?
And if you're lucky in your community, they'll be free.
Yeah, right.
There'll be something free to do. Yeah.
Right.
And like you said, there's people just have to go online. There's so many free things. If you don't have money, don't make that a stumbling block for you. Reach out. Right.
Yeah. Reach out.
Exactly. Just reach out.
The world want to help. Yeah.
Exactly.
We do.
Michele.
We do a 60-day challenge twice a year where it's 60 consecutive days of yoga. We've done it since I've been open 2003.
20 years. Wow.
Yeah. And I'm amazed, listeners, at our party that we have at the end, which is kind of, it'll be the last Saturday of September, I think, for this one, because we're starting a 60-day challenge July 1st through the 15th. You can sign up.
So in between,
stories, Deborah, that you hear from people on what this yoga has done in people that you would never, stories you would never expect. So it's, another plea to your listeners to, I've seen it, I've heard it, and there's not sometimes surprise.
Gotta go out and try it.
Yeah, that what this yoga can do. So don't think, no, my problem's too big, or no, this has been going on too long. No, I from abuse, from just
grief,
work, just again the results oriented treadmill that I'm on and I can't get off. The grief, right? Loss, like you were saying, fear. Another one that's happening a lot now is, the fear of being in social settings because we've been alone for 2 years. Right. And how do I step into a community again and even try to talk, let alone put we're part
of the human race, man. We're supposed to be together. We have to step out of the fear. We have to step out of the fear. Two things are going to happen. You're going to make it, or you're going to die. And if you die, we all have to die at some point. So you can't live while you're alive. You have to live.
Yeah, right. And you're meant to live into you're right, Deborah, to find a yoga community where you step in and just, we don't need to know anything about you. I don't know anything about
exactly. Just try it.
I don't know. All I know is come in here.
Come to the room.
Welcome, and you try your best the 100% the right way.
Come to the room, because we're all learning from each other. We're all helping each other. There's also this myth that, the teacher is up there. No, we are all part of each other. Yeah. We're just playing different roles at different times. One moment I'm the student. Next moment I'm the teacher. Next moment, don't feel like you need to have any of that. There's no hierarchy. We are all equal. We are all equals. So you come in and we treat you like our equal, with love, with respect, as we treat everybody else the same. There's no judgment. We see you.
Yeah. And
we see
you, and we want you to see yourself
in us
and shed all that stuff that's in the way from your,
Beautiful. I couldn't have said it better, Michele. You are such a darling for our community. I just love you. Well, and I just want to thank you so much.
You see it on the podium, don't you? I mean, you can see it, and you can feel everybody embracing everybody too.
Yes. That's why I said, after my parents, I'm so grateful for this yoga, because it taught me so much. And it's given me everything that I have, that I was able to experience in this last 20 years. It's just so beautiful. And I just can't imagine, what life could be like without it. It's
without it. I know.
Yes.
Look at you thriving.
So that's what I'm saying. My parents, I'm grateful because of them, I'm here. And of course, their parents. And then Bikram Yoga has made a huge difference in my life. So anybody struggling out there, particularly with mental health issues, like we said, reach out. We put all the information in the bottom here. If you're close to the San Jose area, reach out to Michele. And we're always so grateful if we can even just help one person. Michele, I want to thank you from my heart so much for making the time to talk to us today. And hopefully very soon I'm going to come and visit.
Oh, my gosh. Royal red carpet for you, Deborah. I would love to see you. I know many people who would love to see you, not just you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you and I honor you. And we will talk soon.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.